Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Logging on. We have Pastor Bernadette Carter, Kiara James. Okay, so you all can hear me. My son is trying to do back here. Look like it's too light. Wait a minute. How? Okay, just bear with. I don't like the way I'm looking, but it's introduced to none other than my very own pastor in the person of Pastor Darlene and to be as well. So good evening, Darlene, or do I have to call you Pastor Williams?
You can call me Darlene. Praise the Lord. Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is on my end. You're breaking up very badly. Is it on my end?
Can you all hear me? Breaking up bad end. Am I still breaking up bad?
Yes.
Pretty good.
Everybody else can hear you well?
Yes.
Or maybe it's on my end.
Okay.
So are you able to hear me?
Can you hear me? Not hear me?
No, you're
Maybe
but
you
the
need
reception is breaking up. It's bad.
to move in another.
You think I need to? Oh, okay. Let me see. Hold on just a moment.
Okay, Fisher, so it is me. You can't hear me either. What about now?
It seems like I can hear you better.
The sound is
Mhm.
not. Oh, Kiara says it's a little better. You
Maybe a little better. Not much though.
you Patricia. Wow. Oh wow, I hate this. You can't hear me any better, huh? Patricia says a little better. Latrice says it's going in and out. Wow.
Hmm.
Um, hmm. Okay. All right. So, what about now?
Seems to be,
In the name of Jesus,
seems to be
clear.
better.
Everyone can hear. We rebuke the spirit. Okay. Okay. Janine says it's better. Pastor Williams, if you want to go back to your area, you
It's a
can.
little dark.
Because it was not you. Pastor Carter says it's much better now. Okay, so she's gonna go back to her area. Thank you all for bearing with us. Thank you so much. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it right. Hold on. Okay, are we ready? Are we good? Okay, we understand, Kiara. You can
Yeah,
always
ready.
get the catch the replay. We just appreciate
Sounds
you
good.
for always watching with us. We appreciate you. And go ahead and get you some rest. All right. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Um, we know that this is the month of March is Women's Month, and so I think for the last 3 Sundays, the Vibrant City Church has been on with some very powerful women, um, and so tonight I thought about why not just have my own pastor come on. So here she is, and so we're gonna ask her. We're just gonna talk. That's what she told me. We're just going to talk. And so the um the topic is pastoring while female. I had never heard of this. She was telling me, she said, you've never heard of that saying, like um
I can't hear
you
you.
tell me, Pastor Williams, when you were telling me about that saying, I had never heard of. Thank you, Dr. Carter. Yes, excellent choice.
Well, again, I'm very sorry, but you were just going in and out. I missed that.
And so are you. So are you. Isn't that something? Okay, we're gonna restart. We're gonna try that. Pat, we're gonna try restarting. Darlene, go ahead and try to restart everything. Go out and come back on. Restart everything.
Okay, log off and come back on.
Yeah. Now you sound good. Let's try. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, try. Sound good now. Let's see how it works before restarting. What is this like? All right, there you are. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you
All
now.
right, all right. So I'm hoping that all of you who were once on here, please come back, come back, come back, come back. We got something good for you. All right. So anyway, Pastor Williams, when you told me about that saying, I can't remember exactly what it was you were telling me, but I had never heard of it. Remember you were
Like
saying, okay,
jogging while black, running
yeah,
while black, golfing while black. Yeah,
okay,
that's
yeah,
like
what it
that's
was.
like the going phrase for African Americans and the disparities that we face just doing normal things that other people do. And for lack of a better word, we get jacked up for it. So they say, I was jogging while black. There's really no crime other than just being black. And that's not
Okay,
a crime.
that's
So,
not a crime, but
mm-mm.
sometimes it seems like it is.
Yeah,
It seems like it is.
yeah.
All right, so we got that out of the way. Pastoring while female. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey as pastoring when it all, I guess, did, when did you get the call, or how did God call you, or just tell us a
I
little bit
may be
about
still I may be still waiting on the call.
you waiting on the call.
They may be waiting on the call.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Well, at least you're being honest.
Well, if I could just back up a little bit and just say, like, I believe I got my ministerial license in 2005. So I was ministering in 2005. Um, Born and raised at the church that we attended, and I knew no other church. That's where I was born and raised at, as well as you.
Hmm.
And around 2010, I'm not going to say, I want to get off into the details of them. I'm not, but that's just um, my foundation was where our foundation was. And around 2010, we decided to leave, my husband and I, um, without any direction. So it wasn't like, I got a call to leave, and I'll tell people that to this day. I still haven't heard that clarion call, go, Darlene, I want you to pastor. Um,
Hmm.
that wasn't the case. Um, when we decided to leave the church and the I say the place that I had known all my life, the safe place, the shelter, the my home. It wasn't easy. That was one of the hardest things I believe I ever had to do, or I did in my life. I believe was to leave that place because it was like we were going just out into outer darkness. So we came and we went home, but we didn't um, stop praying. We didn't stop um, seeking God, doing the things that we normally would do in church. But here we are now. We're at home, so it was really different. A different place. It was. You spoke about dry places. You said you made a mention today about dry places, and I don't know if I realized that it was dry until later on. I mean, it was just a place. It was a very desolate place. I
Hmm.
mean, and so I never got the call, I feel like, to say I was called to be a pastor. I never left with the intention that I was pastoring. I didn't want to. I remember people would tell me that even when I was a young girl. I remember even getting prophesied to that I would be a pastor. And I was probably about 12 or 13 then. And that just went through one ear and out the other, as it did as I got up older.
Hmm.
Again, because it wasn't anything that I was aspiring to do. But I knew that God had called me into the ministry. And that was good enough for me, just being called into the ministry. Um, so if I'm answering the question, I don't know that I ever just said I got a call. I was the position that we were put into after we left the church where we were at. Um, I didn't know where else to go. I didn't see any place. Let me put it like that. I didn't see any other place where I wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
here in the city of Bakersfield. I didn't see a place where we wanted to be. And so it's just kind of like I just kind of shifted into that role as we were where we were, if that makes sense. It's just kind of like I'll still say I just didn't get a clarion call that I was called to pastor.
You didn't get the call. Um, is it safe to say that you're saying you don't recall getting the call, but do you feel like you are called to pastor?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'll put it like this: that even though I think what I feel sometimes is like you've heard different ones say, you know, God told me, I knew that God gave me a call, or I had a vision, or I know God called me to pastor. Well, I can't say that right now because I didn't get anything like that, but I've certainly had prolific dreams and
Uh-huh.
different things like that. And I just feel like because of the position that we were in, um, I do believe God has equipped me to pastor because I've been pastoring, you know.
Mhm.
So I just oftentimes when people ask me about that, I don't know. Maybe the Lord gave me one, but I don't know that He called me just to say, hey, you go and pastor. Because I didn't leave the church. I left with the mindset that I was going to pastor because God called me out of that church to pastor. But I do believe God has equipped me to pastor.
Patricia says you a pastor. And I think we have several female pastors who are on tonight. So
Good.
I think the conversation will be very, very good. Um, okay, being a pastor, a female pastor, there are still a lot of people stuck by thinking or saying that God doesn't use a female. God didn't call women to pastor. What do you say about that?
Well, yeah, it's certainly still out there, but for me, I don't bother getting into those types of debates, discussions. I don't have the time for it. I refuse to get into it. It's a age old argument, or whatever. It's just been a thing for a long time. And if they have eyes like you have eyes, you and I have eyes. We see God is using women to pastor, to minister, and He's been doing it. And I'm just like, God can use whomever or whoever He chooses. And so I don't even get into the debate about God don't call women to pastor. You and I, we were raised, we were fortunate, we were blessed to be raised under a pastor, Pastor Charlotte Victoria Davis Clemens. And during the time she was pastoring, I don't know that there were any women. It could have been some because it seemed like they said there was some other women pastors maybe out in what we say in the country, some of those streets out there that Sister Davis even knew. I don't know. But I know she was probably one of the first in the city of Bakersfield. And she pastored well. And we saw many miracles under her pastorship. And many people saved. So
Hmm.
to say God don't use women, that's a man-made lie.
Yeah,
I don't, I don't even fall into it.
right. Are you comfortable with being called pastor? Are you comfortable with your role?
I you guys always know I said I had a problem with You could just call me by my name, Darlene, whatever. I know who I am. I am a
Mhm.
pastor, and I'm comfortable with it. But I'm also okay. I'm not one of them where you have to label me Pastor Darlene. You know, my name is Darlene, and it doesn't take away from who I am if you choose to call me that. You know what I'm saying? When I come home, this might be different, but when I come home, my husband does not call me Pastor Darlene.
Mhm.
My daughter don't call me Pastor Darlene. So, uh, but it's an honor.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's an honor.
Right. Patricia Stalker says that part exactly. Janine says good. Um,
Yeah.
we're in our culture. Our culture just is much different than the way it was when we were younger, growing up. Um, Everything has changed. Ideas, um, society itself has changed. Now we know the message hasn't changed, but do you agree that the method has changed and some of the way maybe that we were taught or the way it was this this way of holiness was projected to us? Do you think do you think that well we know things have changed, but what are some of the things maybe that you would say we have to do something a little differently than we did back then? You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, like you said, the message hasn't changed, but the methods have. Um,
Mhm.
what was that Dr. Bernadette said?
She says, are there challenges with the men in your ministry and their response to a female pastor?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. Um, the men that we have at the Vibrant City Church, I have to say they have to be the best ones in the city. I just got a few of them, but they are very supportive of me. Number one, my husband is supportive. I couldn't do the job, or I couldn't do this role if my husband wasn't supportive. It would be really challenging to be going, and my husband wasn't for me. But I think everywhere I've been asked to preach, I think maybe two times he wasn't able to come with me, but I certainly have his support. But that's the one thing. I have no problems with the men that's in the church, but I have had. I remember somebody told me I would love to come to your church. I would love to come to your church, and he told me, he said, but I still got an issue with women pastors. I just still got a problem with women pastors. But he loved to hear me preaching this, that, and the other. And you missed out. He missed out. Uh, but anyway, she said, and their response to a female pastor. Well, we got one in the church. I'll say, Brother Thomas. He he was he was from Philadelphia, in the military, and I think he was stationed somewhere, maybe in San Diego, and received the Holy Ghost under a female pastor in Sacramento. And this pastor Gonzalez, I believe, she's been, let me see, deceased for several years now, and he still speaks highly of Pastor Gonzalez and the
Mm-hmm.
ministry that she had and the administration that I mean, just how she ran the church and just how the church grew and everything. So he has beautiful words that he speaks of Pastor Gonzalez, as well as me. He always encourages me, gives me encouraging words, tells me um, that he appreciates me in so many different ways. And so I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for that. Deacon Evander, grateful for these men. And my husband, as I say, I got he is the Peter of the group. I think all of them got a little Peter in them. They don't play.
Hmm.
You're welcome, Sister Dr. Carter.
Patricia said he said it right. He has a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Whoever that person was that told you
yeah,
he had a problem with women pastors.
yeah. And it's
What is
funny
that?
because I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's funny that it's the men that say it. They got a problem with it, and yet and still, I know for a fact that God didn't have a problem with women. He loves us, and we have the same Holy Ghost. And I was thinking, I said, when people sometimes say that, um, I'll share something. I went to it was some type of community event a couple of years ago, and they were asking all. It was something to do with police brutality, I believe, but they were asking all pastors to come, and support, and just be there at the police department. I think we were praying. They were going to pray, and they had several things they were going to be sharing on the steps. And when I got there, I decided to wear my clergy outfit. I got a little clergy dress. So I wore me clergy dress. It was in summertime. And I wore me some Van tennis shoes without stockings, y'all. I can't take the stockings. Anyway, I went, and several pastors, a lot of people were there. And all the pastors, the different ones, leaders, had things to say. And when it was just about to be over, one of the pastors uh, acknowledged me as being the only female pastor that he saw in the audience, and he thanked me for showing up. He thanked me for showing up, and he asked me. He said, I want you to come." He said, "I don't know who you are, but I would like you to come and just pray a dismissal prayer." And just as I was getting ready to come, and he said, "And there's some that may be thinking about a woman pastor." And I'm not quoting everything he said, but he went on to say, "And if God could use an ass, he could use a woman." Now that these, and I don't believe he meant it in that the way it came out like that, which we know that God could use anybody. Yes, he did. He used an ass, a chicken. He used he uses whatever he uses. He wants to. But anyway, I saw some of the women in the audience. They just looked like they just something just punched them in the stomach, you know. And here I am in my mind. I'm just like, now I can come up here. I'm gonna have a mic. I can address this because I'm kind of like, you know what? Not only did he use an ass, but he used a man. And so I'm like, I could have just had something to say, but I decided I'm gonna let that just go and do what he said, is just dismiss. Sometimes you can't even address some of the things that come out sometimes like that, and I was in a public place. I didn't want it could have went a different way, because Darlene could have stepped in on that. But I was thinking about too, I thought about Harriet Tubman said, I think it was Harriet Tubman said, if a woman could turn the world upside down all by herself, it's gonna take a woman to turn it right side up again. So I just was like, God uses whomever he chooses. And if he could use not just an ass, if he decides to use man, period, period. And we serve an awesome God.
There are also women that don't believe in women pastors as well, right?
That's true. That's true.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
So again, what makes you relevant in this day and age? What do you think make you relevant as a female pastor?
I think for just the fact that I know for a fact that God made me relevant. Like I said, I don't have still said at the beginning. I haven't said I heard just a clarion call, but I know I'm equipped to do the job. I'm equipped to do the assignment. and I want to even become more relevant. You talked about being like the methods changing. I'm open to learning. That's the thing. I
Mhm.
always want to learn. Never think that you know too much or you already know enough. Like once somebody
Right.
told me one time, asking me to be his assistant pastor, and then I asked him, "What do you think about higher learning? You know, going getting more about this ministry." I don't need no more. I know everything I need to know. I was like, "Well, I certainly won't be your assistant pastor at all, because to say you don't need any more, that's a problem. To say that you got it all." And so I think I'm just open to learning more, to connect with this culture, that we're surrounded by. You know, I'm open to new ideas. I'm
Mhm.
open to I'm open to being um, harmless, wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. So then I'm
Mhm.
open to learning new ways, or more ways to to attract people for Christ and to Christ.
Mhm. Mhm. So what is your message? Do you have any strategies, or you know on how to win souls for Christ? Have
Well, first of
God
all,
gave it to
just
you, or how do you do that?
I'm I'm learning.
Right, as you go, huh?
As I go, I'm learning. Just like social media. This right here, you already know I have. Um, this is not my forte, which I know this is a blessing, because, like I always say, I believe Paul and all the other disciples, apostles, and everyone, if they were in this time, they would have a social media account. You know, um, I guess I'm just like, this is an avenue. This is a way. But I just don't want to be on social media just for the sake of saying you're on social media. I want to have something to say, you know. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to learn. I'm open to learning. That's what I'm open to learning and being involved.
Hmm. I know I had asked you earlier, like the culture, and um, I know things have changed from the times when we grew up in the church. Very, very, very strict, and so, and I'm not going to get all off into that, but I'm thinking about if someone came into, your church, let's say, the Indian woman, they wear the earrings in their noses. I believe that's just their culture, right? That's just their
Hmm.
culture.
Come on.
Um, do you would you do you I don't know, you've not been in that situation yet, so you probably just can't say what you would do. But back in the day, I would think they probably would just tell them straight out. Just go to them and tell them you're gonna have to take that earring out of your nose, blah 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 blah. Okay, again, things have changed. Culture have changed, and we've learned some things. How would you handle that, Pastor Williams?
I would absolutely love. You went out.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. I would absolutely love for an Indian woman, an Indian man, anyone outside of, I mean, of a different nationality or culture to come to the Vibrant City Church. I would love to have a culture day. You remember, I always talked about before the pandemic that I wanted to have a culture day.
Hmm.
And I even called different ones from, I spoke with an African pastor, but at the time he was on his way to Africa running a revival or something, and we never did get to connect. But I told him I would just love to just get together,
Right.
just to see how they praise God, just to see how they worship or whatever, just to fellowship, just to be a part. Yes, somebody said welcome them and show them love. Exactly, that's exactly what we do.
Mhm.
I have a wonderful Indian friend who is she has that kind of her. She'll go. She just loves people. So before the pandemic, she wanted to come to the church. I've been her temple, the temple she goes to several times.
Mhm.
And guess what? I didn't go over there and take my Bible, and I didn't go over there and hookah my shy and all that stuff. I took off my shoes. I sit on the floor.
Didn't you
I
wear
ate.
the didn't you dress up
I wore the
as well?
whole yeah the
Mhm.
whole thing. I
Mhm.
wore all of that. I wash my hands at the they have some type of faucet or something at right in the at the entrance. You put your hands under there, wash your hands, and they're it's not a pastor. They don't call him a pastor, but I'll and not even a priest, but whoever their leader is. Um, when you come out, they give you a blessing, which is like warm, almost like it's warm. It almost reminds you of hot water cornbread.
Mhm.
But it's now, do you think I say, you know what, the devil is a lie?
Mhm.
I rebuke this. I took that bread, I let him put it in my hand. It was a blessing. It was I that's what they said. I just let him put it in my hand. I went around to every booth they had and got some of their bread, their all the things that they had. I just became a part of that. And so I loved it. So I would absolutely love for anybody to come to the Vibing City Church and show us something different. Like I said, our God is amazing. You know, got
Mhm.
people all over the world. Everybody don't look like us, and I'm so glad they don't look like me. They don't talk like
Right.
me. They don't dress like me. They don't eat the same thing that I eat. You know, different, and I like that.
Right. Do you enjoy being a pastor?
I do. I do. It's Yolanda. I tell
Yeah.
you, that bread is good. Yes, it is. Pastor Patricia. Yes, that is some good bread, and I am I'll tell you, I'm a bread eater, honey. I eat bread. Man shall not live by bread alone. I could eat some bread. I might, well, you know, I know what the scripture is, but I'm just playing. I might could live by some bread alone. How much I eat bread and any kind of bread, but they really have some great bread. But you asked, do I enjoy being a pastor? It's challenging, and there are ups and downs to it. Ups and downs to it. But yeah,
Mhm.
does the Lord being my help? Yeah, I do.
You mentioned your husband, um,
Mhm.
being there for you, and I know firsthand that he pushes you and he believes in you. And I don't believe you would be who you are if it were not for him, if it were not for his encouraging or his encouragement. If nobody else thinks you're a pastor, he does. And so you hear a lot of I've heard a lot of female pastors saying that sometimes men they can become intimidated,
Hmm.
maybe with all the attention, or some men feel like they should be the pastor. But in your
Hmm.
case, that's all the way different.
All
All
the
the way
way different.
different. Hmm.
And my husband will say in a minute, I'm not the minister. He'll say, I'm not a minister. I'm not a preacher. He knows that he's not, and he doesn't have a problem with saying that he's not. He'll say, my wife is. And he proudly says it. My wife is my pastor.
Hmm.
But yeah, So that's a plus that I have. Like I said, I think it's probably only twice that he couldn't be with me to support me somewhere preaching. But believe you me, he is very supportive of me, encourages me all the time. In times when I feel like I can't do it, oh, you can do it, you can do it,
Mhm.
or maybe somebody, if I say, I got asked to speak or asked to officiate a funeral. Oh, you can do it. You can do it. I'm just like, how you know? How do you know I can't? But he does.
Mhm.
He does.
I can't imagine pastoring being sometime a lonely place. I mean, or a lonely assignment sometime.
Mhm.
And I know, even with me being your sister, um, and I know people know that we are pretty close as sisters.
Mhm.
And I appreciate you because, um, I'll say firsthand that if people talk to you, and I know people do talk to you,
Mhm.
not one time do you come back and share those things with me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
So that means, Dr. Carter is saying spousal support is valuable in ministry.
It really is.
Yeah, valuable. It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I was just thinking about you. I said I know pastoring can be kind of lonely. Who do you vent to? Who do you talk to? And sometimes we know we can always talk to God, but it's always good to have maybe someone else that you could connect with. That's not your sisters, because there are some things that you can't tell me, and I'm not trying to find out. But I'm saying, even now that you're for the last, what, 7 months or so, well, for the last 4 months, I should say, you have been a sole care provider for our sister, your husband and I. And although I come over several days out of the week along with my other sister Phyllis, but we don't do what you do. I see you firsthand how you handle our sister, and I like to say I thank God for you for taking such her, and you have her so spoiled now. Um, until when you're not around, she's looking for you. But I
Mhm.
said all that to say this, that I know now, since you have taken on that role. I'm pretty sure you get frustrated.
Mhm. Um, I say that God saw it coming. I didn't, and sometimes I'm just like, how do I do this? And I feel like there's not enough hours in the day. And then I feel like um, that the ministry lacks. That's just how I've been feeling, and I'm just opening up myself, because I don't get to study like the way I used to study, and I feel it. Or when do find the time to sit down, um, it's like I'm so mentally drained sometimes, and so physically drained. I don't feel like um, I'm not able to get out of the study. I'm just not able to study as good as I
Mhm.
want to study. And you talked about too, who do I vent to? Um, my daughter tells me I need to see a therapist because she say I don't vent. I don't share feelings, and I probably don't and need to. And I'm
Mhm.
glad that there are some women pastors on here. I hope that I can build a relationship with some, because I don't have anybody to talk to, not so much to just vent to. And I'm not saying like I know we're sisters and all that, but I'm talking about on that ministerial level. Sometimes
Right.
you do feel like you're just alone and all you do is just study. You know,
Mhm.
I'm just reading all the time. And then sometimes when I get ready to have a message now, don't even seem like I I don't have anything to say, and I've studied and studied and studied. But sometimes, I mean, just um, it is this word challenging is the word that's just sticking with me today. It is very challenging, and yes, it can be very lonely. Um, because I don't have anybody else that I'm really sharing what I feel about pastoring with. You know, we have a small ministry, and um, I often tell people we're small, and that's not all, and that's true. Um, but I would love to see the ministry grow. Say me neither. I've been dealing with things alone. Well, we need to get together. Find some time for nothing but to go and get a cup of coffee.
Right.
Relaxation helps mentally. That's true. Relaxation, and that's Dr. Carter. I have a hard time relaxing. It's
You
like
do.
anytime I do get a little bit of time, I feel like I'm missing something. There's something else I need to be doing, you know. And so my family can concur with me on that. I'm just always kind of going, you know. Um, but yeah, I certainly need to relax. Jesus was a good example. He would go away and go up into the mountain sometime, and that was an example for us to take some time away. And so, yeah, my hands are certainly full with my sister, but God knew. He gave me something earlier this week that I felt like He comforted me with,
Dr. Carter
and it was.
says you got her.
She said, "What?
Dr. Carter.
Thank you. I'm gonna be calling you." Thank you, Dr. Carter. That's nice to know. That's really nice to know because I kind of feel like when we went on our journey, we kind of were just on our own, just kind of left to be on our own, and it's been difficult. It's been difficult. I almost feel like we're kind of like the TV show breaking Amish. You know how when the Amish people are trying to get out of that cult in out of Utah, and how the mothers turn against the children, and the fathers turn against them if they ever leave, and it's like they just have no more connection because they left, and that's just kind of how I feel that's what happened to us. You know, the parent body, the organization, kind of. And I remember in the day, in Sister Davis's lifetime, and my mother would oftentimes tell us that organization won't save you. You remember hearing that, Yolanda? Organization won't save you.
Don't save you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, won't save you. They don't
Mhm.
come to see about you either. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, that's something I don't want to be a part of, you know.
Right.
I don't want to be a part of. I want people to know, like we say, we want to love you to life. You know, God is love. God
God
is
is love.
love. God is love. So how can you know so much about Him and don't love people? I mean, you can't have that great of connection, to Him, and you don't love people, or you can't reach out to people. But anyway, I'm thankful to hear Dr. Carter so that I can call her. I'm
And
gonna put you on mute just a minute, um, because I hear my sister calling. So just give me just a moment.
okay. All right. So we have to pause for the calls. Hey nephew. So she'll be back. Do not leave because I want to hear. I want to get through this interview with her. And so thank you, Dr. Carter and Patricia, for saying that you're there for her. That's good to know. Thank you, Kiara. Thank you. Thank you, Patricia. I love Pastor Darlene. Thank you. Yes. Yes, Pebbles. We know you love her. All right. And there she is.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know where we were at that point.
Well, as you left, different ones were saying how much they love you. So you can go back
Oh, thank you.
and read
Thank
the
you. I love
comment.
you too. Thank you. I love you too, Pastor Patricia.
Pastor Williams, I know you don't really care for social media, and neither do I. And that's kind of probably people probably don't believe that as much as I'm
I was
on
gonna say
here.
hard to believe.
But I'm on here with a purpose. I'm not just on here. At least I hope I'm
Yeah.
not just on here. But when I get on, every time I get on, it's with intention. Um, what is it that you don't like about social media? And what is it that you do like? And how do you feel like it has even helped the ministry?
What is it that I don't like about social media?
Mm-hmm.
The fact is just to get on here. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't. It's just a lot of talk. Not. Everything is not bad. There's good and bad to it, and it's been good because, like I've heard somebody say, a lot of people have connected to lost family members and friends, and it has definitely has its points and things. I think what I don't like is the what it does to you just psychologically. You know, you sit on here, people sit on and they scroll and they put comments and you just kind of know, well, if you didn't like my page or if you didn't like what I said, I'm not gonna like what you said, even though they don't tell you that. You feel it, you hear it, you know it's in the air. I just don't like all of that. I'm like, I've been on there. I get on every now and then, and sometimes I scroll and I just tell myself, and I like what I see, but I do not have to hit the like button, you know, or don't like. And I'm just like, I guess what I think about, and I've said it too. I said, now my my degree is in communications, public relations. You would think I would be on here more, in which I said I was going to do it. But I guess my thing is, I know it is. that I just want to get on and get off, have something positive to say, um, get on and get off. And then you got that little voice that is thousands of other people on here. Heights to me, thousands of other people on here probably saying some of the same things that you would say. So what difference are you going to make? That's just kind of the, you know, how your mind, your different, you know, your other person talks to you sometimes. And I think that's kind of keeps me off a lot. But I do know that this is a lot of the churches on social media. I know ministry is on social media. Are you frozen?
No, I'm about to ask you, are you frozen? So are you asking me, or what is that, a comment or what?
No, am I asking you what?
Well, you were saying, I know, I can't even think of what you just said, but I was listening to you.
No, I was just saying, you know how sometimes you're just, I say my inner self sometimes talk about, okay, now you're gonna get on and say something. Maybe a scripture.
Hmm.
Well, somebody else then said a scripture too. You know, I just sometimes fight with myself. What am I gonna say that's gonna make such a difference to somebody else? And it's already being said, you know. Now, Patricia said it. She said, "You showed up for 30 days. You have something to say. It's in your belly. Thank you. The enemy within you will lie to you." That's right. And she knows the thing. And I said that. And if people don't know, I got on and during the month of February and told myself that was going to be my way of launching myself to be more present on social media. So I got on for 30 days. I think I missed two days. For doing a video, but I still put up content. So it was really, you know, that was challenging for me to do that. But I said I was going to be on for 30 days, and each day I shared something about uh, a black author or something about Black history. And probably about that ninth or 10th day, I was like, oh my God, I don't like this. I was running, you know, running, trying to find something to put on, um, trying to get the right lighting, trying to find a place in the house that, you know, and it just really did get to be daunting, you know. Um, but I did it, and thank you, Patricia, for bringing that up. I did it, and she was one that I think showed up for the 30 days with me. Every one of my videos, she had a comment on it.
And by
That's
doing
Patricia.
that, if I can interject, by doing that, you really did bring, or you shed light to a lot of people who were hidden from us. For instance,
Yeah.
that guy that was a painter, I had never
Oh,
heard of him.
yeah. John. I said John Michael, but his name is John Michelle Basquiat.
Yeah, that was awesome
Yeah.
for you doing
Yeah.
that, and a lot of people really responded to you for doing
You
that.
know, I, I w- I will say this, Yolanda, because I don't, and two, I don't know, still don't know a lot about social media, how to use it, even with Facebook, because I just don't do it a lot. There's a lot of things I still don't even know how to do. But the other day, I went to check a message or something from my daughter on Instagram, and when I got there, I had like 100 messages or so, and they were all from February when I was on when I was on doing the 30 days of showing up, Black History Month. These were all messages I hadn't even seen, and people started following me
Wow.
because of that. So, and that just lets you know I just happened to see it, and but anyway, with God's help, I do intend to, and I'm just again, my life is really busy, um, but with God's help. I do want to just get on and say something. If it's just encouraging, just a scripture, the word speaks for itself. Just a scripture, just to be a little bit, like I said, more present, and just to be, just show my face for the Vibrant City Church.
Do you feel that the ministry has grown uh, just from social media alone? How do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, it certainly has, and I'm so grateful for um, Carrington. So great, and also for you, Yolanda. Like I always tell Yolanda that she's a social media mogul. Sometimes I'll see if something pop up on my phone. Yolanda's going live. Yolanda, and I'm just like, you go ahead on Yolanda.
I gotta stop.
And this is what cracks me up too. Sometimes Yolanda, do you have a word? Yeah, I probably do. And I just have to laugh, y'all, because I'm like, now every time I ask her just about, does she have a word? And here I am struggling trying to find where I'm studying every day, all day. If even if it's I don't feel like I'm getting I'm putting the study in like I used to years ago, but I'm doing something every day and struggling. And I could just ask her, you got a word? Yeah, I think so. The price of promotion. Hagar in the wilderness, whatever. Just throw them out there. But I'm grateful. I am grateful that
I'm all out.
I'm on her team.
Oh,
And also, like with Carrington, what I was saying about Carrington, I just thank God for Carrington because he is the youngest one that we have and very tech savvy. And so, and that's good. You are too, though, Yolanda. But it's just a blessing that if we didn't have Carrington, we wouldn't be this far down the road uh, with this. When we flipped over to social media, I mean, to Facebook when the pandemic struck and the
mm,
buildings were shut, then came Jesus. We had to go home and online, and so I just thank God for Carrington for that.
hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thank God for Carrington too, because like you said, during the pandemic, had it not been for Carrington, we would have just been at home, you know.
Yeah.
None of us really knew how to live stream and do all the things that he does for the
Hmm.
ministry. And I always tell him I appreciate him for being with us. He don't have to be with us.
Yeah.
He's young and he could be doing other things, but
Yeah.
for now that we have him, I say let's use him. Use him till
Yeah.
we can't use him anymore.
That's right.
Again, this is Women's Month.
Yeah.
Pastor Williams, how do you encourage women? What do you say to us women? How do you encourage us to keep going?
That's exactly what I was gonna just say. Keep going. That we as women are very powerful. Um, each one of us. We have strength, but sometimes you don't even know that you have it. The thing of it is just do it. That's what Nike say. Just do it. And that's a lot of things. That's a lot of things I discovered about myself is because I just did it. I just tried things. You know, if it tickled my fancy, so to speak, I'm like, okay, let me see if I can do that. And I find out that I can do that.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of things that women can do and have done and been instrumental in the church, been instrumental in the home, been instrumental on the job. Um, James Brown said, it's a man's world. And he went on, but he went on to say, but it wouldn't be nothing. I always tell my husband that. I teach him I do this. I go through the whole thing, but it wouldn't be nothing. Because he started out saying, singing it's a man's world. Sometimes people do that, tell me that. And then I'll tell him, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. So I just tell women to find what you find what you love. Find something that you're passionate about and go after it. Do it.
Where do you see the ministry in 2 years? Where do you see the Vibrant City Church? Where would you like for it to be in 2 years?
On its own property, in its own place. You hear that? I said on its own property,
Okay.
in its
On
own
its own
place,
property.
on its
I
own
was,
property, its own place, being a vibrant city, being
yeah.
vibrant, having resources for, as Sister Ivory was so passionate this morning talking about, for the young people, you know, resources for the young people, um, just being our own entity. And I'd like to see revival. I want to see people saved, really, really saved. I'd love to see people just filled with the Holy Ghost saved. And I want the church to grow. I want it to grow, it's online or in person. I want them both. I want them both.
Do you promote voting?
Somebody said something.
Um,
Pardon me.
Patricia said I had a memory that popped up on my page when you shared at Fireproof. I've been waiting to hear you share ever since then. I loved how you flowed in your authentic self. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was a few years ago at a Greater Harvest, and the Lord, I think, gave me the topic the day of that conference. I had Sister Vicky had the scriptures and everything, but when I got there, that's when the Lord gave it to me, that I am the proof, that we are the proof, that the promises that He made, uh-huh, the promises that He made, we are the proof. But anyway, thank you, Pastor Patricia. Thank you.
One last question. Do you promote voting rights?
Oh yeah, I'm very passionate about voting. Very passionate about voting. I you can't say, oh, you can, vote for who to vote for, but I do tell people to vote. Absolutely vote. It's a right. As many people died for the opportunity to vote, to have freedom to vote. And if you watch the news or anything like that, we're fighting now for voting rights. I mean, that was already passed in 60s and early 60s and 70s. And now we're back. I mean, you got states now that are trying to keep you from voting. So it's important to vote. And yeah, I am very passionate about voting.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, I know I said that was
Right.
my last question, but y'all know I'll keep it going. But this is something that I think you and I have talked about it when it comes to the church and the state. Church and state, am I saying that right? Church and
Mm-hmm.
state. Okay, let's just say abortion rights. You know how we went through that with women. You know, should have a right uh, to abort. Now we know as Christians we don't agree with uh, abortion, but I've heard you say that you know there is a line or there is a there is a difference between church and state. But what do you mean by that? Even when it comes to the subject of abortion.
You're going out, so I can't understand it.
Okay, well maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing. No, I was just
Hmm.
saying, even with church and state, with women having abortions, or you know having a right. It's their bodies. What do you say as a pastor? How would you? What do you say about that?
That's really a difficult question because I'm not for abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not for abortion. So if a young woman would come to me and talk to me about that, I would listen to her and hopefully um, be able to tell her. I mean, if she's coming to me for my advice, um, I definitely wouldn't be for her having an abortion,
Right.
and I would let her know that from my from my stance. Um, that's a hard question, but I'm just kind of like I don't feel like the government has a right to to make that decision. I feel like at the end of the day, um, God is God. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
judge. He's going to judge us all. And so I'm kind of like, I you want to tell a woman that it's wrong or whatever for her to have an abortion, but as I heard, it's kind of like Bishop Noel Jones say, but you're aborting our kids by police brutality, shooting so many unarmed black people, black men and women, but you don't consider that an abortion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like the government has a right to make that decision. Now that's me. I just don't feel like they have that right to make that decision. Um, I just don't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
I just don't.
That's true.
Because I'm
And
like,
neither do I.
Go ahead.
No, I just said I agree with you. Neither do I.
Hmm.
I don't feel like they have the right to make that decision either.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No.
Um, yes, Janine, he is. He's prepping for the entire week. Carrington is prepping his meal preps. Maybe you can see him in the back. Patricia says the state is the world system and the church, we are in God's system.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yeah.
So very true. Pastor Williams, is
Yeah.
there anything else you would like to say before we leave?
No, I just thank everybody for joining us tonight. Just to remember to pray for me, pray for pastors everywhere, pray for women pastors that have this charge, and it is a charge, and we have to stand before God for ourselves, and I know that God has done um, miraculous, I mean, miraculous works through his vessels, through women. And so I know that God uses women, love women. Um, and I do know that God calls women, you know. And when the scripture I thought about today earlier said he calls the youth because they're young or because they're strong, young
Mm-hmm.
and strong, they're young. And I was thinking about it. It doesn't say male, female. He said call the youth. That's female included.
Female included.
Female included. He
Mm-hmm.
calls them for the assignments that he called them for. You know.
You were kind of called later on in life, right? As pastoring, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I may, like I say, I may have been, I was prophesied it when I was very young. I said I was about 12 or 13, and maybe even younger, but I certainly remember a man coming to the church telling me that. And several other people told me as I was growing up. Um, one time I went to I'll say this, one time I went to a it was a bookstore, Bible bookstore, and I was just looking around, just looking around. I don't know what book I was maybe looking for, whatever the case, but I went down the aisle, and there on the bottom shelf, all by itself, was no other books there. It was The Call of a Lifetime, the book. I picked it up. It was about pastor. One of the best books I have in my on my bookshelf, The Call of a Lifetime,
Mhm.
and it's an amazing book. And I felt like that was speaking to me then. Not I said just come, but it was something about it. It was so um, just the way it was just positioned, just that one book, The Call of a Lifetime, and it was about pastors. Just a whole, just a an amazing book. I went to a secondhand store one day. You know, I like to read. Went to a secondhand
Mhm.
store. I went to the book section, and there, the book, it was called "The Heart of a Pastor," and that's a beautiful book. The Heart of a Pastor, and there was a quote in there, if I can remember it. It said, "Bloom where you planted." I think that's what it was. Bloom where you planted. And I think about that sometimes. I don't like the area where I am. I don't like there's just different things, but you can bloom where you planted. You can
Mhm.
grow. You can make a difference wherever you are. You can make a difference. You can bring color to where you are. I mean, you can just bring life. It's what's in you. How you look at your situation as I'm here, but what can I do to make this place better? I'm here, so let's let's make it vibrant. So that's something that just kind of stuck out with me, and I'll just let that be my last thing. It's several things that like that, books that I found that look like they were just for me.
Mhm.
You know, and that God, I felt like, spoke to me through those books. Like I said, they were some of the best books I have on my bookshelf, and I have a lot of books.
I'll say it like that commercial. The clues are all around you for you finding those two books.
uh,
But
hmm
you definitely called to be
hmm
pastor, and so I
hmm
appreciate you being my pastor. And I'm not just serving you because you're my pastor, but I know the life you live, so for you, you know, I really do. I thank
I'm
God for
having
you. I thank
difficulty
God.
hearing you.
Okay, can you
No. uh-uh.
so you know what? With that, we'll just say good night to you.
Okay. Yeah.
All
You're
right.
going in and out. So,
Okay. All right.
all right. Well, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.